Good evening, everyone. James Hancock here to review the latest episode of Twin Peaks, episode 7 of season 3. And goddamn, tonight was a phenomenal episode. I've been thoroughly enjoying the season to date, but I've been hearing a lot of complaints from folks, some of which are justifiable, that they want to see more of the traditional classic Dale Cooper, or they want to see more about Twin Peaks, or they just want the things to get going, they want the story to get underway. While I don't share that view, because I've been absolutely loving it to date, for people who've been patient and have been waiting, tonight was the episode they've been waiting for, because goddamn, there was a lot of story, a lot of detail, a lot of revelations, and it also features my favorite moment to date in the entire season. So this is one of those episodes that has a little bit for everyone. It's got a little bit for the classic fans who've been a little frustrated, and it's got a lot for the people who've been thoroughly enjoying the ride to date. As always, I should specify ahead of time that I am much more of a David Lynch fan than Twin Peaks Encyclopedia. There are some people who just know this world backwards and forwards. They could write their own wiki online with their eyes closed. I am not one of those guys. I have to do a lot of homework and a lot of research as I go, so any corrections and or insights about names, places, background details, that sort of thing, are always appreciated. But as we see at the beginning of this episode, the story of Laura Palmer, or the mystery of Laura Palmer, is never officially complete, because 3 of the 4 missing pages of her diary were found by Deputy Hawk in the previous episode. He and Sheriff Truman go through them, and there are these really cool, mysterious passages about something that Laura was asked to write in her diary in a dream. Annie Blackburn essentially told her that Agent Dale Cooper is trapped in the lodge, and Hawk basically comes to the conclusion that the Cooper that emerged from the lodge is not the good Cooper. The conclusion they also come to is they believe that Leland must have hidden those pages during one of his visits to the sheriff's department because he suspected that Laura was onto him. But more to come on that, I'm sure, in the episodes to come. But at least here we are 7 episodes in, and we are right back into the mystery of Laura Palmer. And I guess as long as they keep making movies and or TV shows about Twin Peaks, we'll never be completely through with that fascinating mystery. But we get a lot of just phenomenal details and moments in Twin Peaks itself this episode. This season of television takes place in a lot of different locations with a huge cast of characters, and sometimes you can make yourself dizzy just trying to keep track of everything. But here we get to just settle down, slow down, and we see Sheriff Truman. You know, he hops on Skype, and he's got this great old-fashioned computer that comes out of the wood paneling of his desk, and he calls the doctor and has a conversation with him, who examined Dale Cooper the night that he came out of the lodge. We also get some interesting stuff with Deputy Andy, trying to investigate who was behind the murder of the child with the truck. All around, this episode really just feels like it's grabbing all the different loose threads and strands that have been kind of dangling and sprawling since the beginning of the season, and starting to weave them into a really concrete tale, because we also get some interesting developments on a few other fronts. This character by the name of Lieutenant Knox wants to examine the source of the fingerprints of Major Briggs, and she is shown the headless body, which has been dead about 5 or 6 days. They believe the body to be somewhere in the late 40s, which doesn't make sense because Major Briggs should be in his 70s. And she reports back her findings to Colonel Davis. But even more important than that, in the morgue, there's this really mysterious dark figure walking around, and he's always kind of in the background when she's on the phone or when she comes in to say that she might be taking over the investigation. We see the figure walking back behind her. It reminded me a lot of the mysterious dark figure we saw in the movie Mulholland Drive, where they go behind the Winkies and the figure steps out and it's like one of those heart-grabbing moments that makes people just completely fucking shriek with terror when they see it. I mean, I remember showing Mulholland Drive to my sister when it first came out on DVD, and she was sitting way too close to the TV, just really fascinating watching. And when that creature came out, she just went, oh! I mean, she just about swallowed her heart. In any case, I want to see more of that creature, because I love it when David Lynch introduces these mysterious, dark, forbidden entities into his stories. But one of the real sweet spots of this episode is getting more of David Lynch himself. There's something about David Lynch where he might be the most lovable, adorable human being that ever lived. We see his character Cole sitting in his office practicing these little bird calls or whistles to himself. It's just him having a little quiet moment, but every time David Lynch speaks, he just makes me howl. Rosenfeld reports back to him about Diane and talks about how she might be a difficult customer. They go to her home and implore her to help them identify whether or not this evil Cooper they have locked up in South Dakota is in fact Cooper, and she very reluctantly agrees to play along. in the short term. We also get a classic Twin Peaks moment where they serve some coffee to Cole, and he says, "Damn good coffee!" And it wouldn't be a Twin Peaks show without at least somebody shrieking about damn good coffee. And we also hear David Lynch's character talking about how he's given up cigarettes. I don't know if that's actually the case in real life. David Lynch notoriously used to smoke cigarettes all the time. I went to the LA County Museum once for a screening, and during his Q&A, either before or after, he lit up a cigarette, and everybody in the audience was like, like he had, pissed on their grandparents' ashes or something like that. But at the time, at least, David Lynch really loved to smoke. But who knows? I mean, he's in his 70s. He might have finally given it up. In any case, it was great to see him react to the coffee. So one of my new favorite characters, Tammy, they're looking at Cooper's fingerprints, and they see that while it is a match, that clearly there's been some manipulation, that basically it's like a mirror image, but somebody flipped them in order to try to make them match. And I love that. It's almost like this evil doppelganger of Cooper, aka Bob, whatever you want to call him. People get all worked up about what's the appropriate terminology. The evil Cooper is just the easiest way to say it. He's like a dark reflection of the Cooper we know and love, and I love the fact that they are starting to put that together. And as great as Kyle MacLachlan has been as Dougie, aka, I guess, the sweet, lovable doppelganger Cooper, I really like him as Evil Cooper as well. That voice he does, he has this really strange kind of low voice that he uses to speak, and it's just really disconcerting and unnerving. But we get a scene between Kyle MacLachlan and Laura Dern, which is fucking awesome, because if you're a David Lynch fan, everybody knows and loves them from Blue Velvet, arguably David Lynch's greatest film. Some people might say Mulholland Drive, some people might say a variety of things, but I think when it comes to the movie that really solidifies his reputation as one of the world's greatest living artists, Blue Velvet was the beginning of that conversation. And of course, Kyle MacLachlan and Laura Dern are the heroes of that tale. So it's great to see them chew the scenery together again. But we get some more sinister stuff with Evil Dale when he sits down with the warden, and he mentions the dog leg that was found in his trunk, and he mentions how the other 3 dog legs were sent to different people who will come and raise all kinds of holy hell if something were to happen to Dale Cooper, or to this character masquerading as Dale Cooper. He also basically drops the names Mr. Strawberry and McCluskey, and it makes the warden just freeze up about to what degree Dale might have information on this front. And Evil Cooper asks for a getaway car and a gun for him and Ray Monroe, and the warden has no choice but to play along. So we have some great Dougie stuff in this. We don't have as much great Dougie stuff in this as we did in the previous episode, but Dougie's in his office being confronted by Sinclair, played by Tom Sizemore, and obviously Tom Sizemore is very curious as to what Dougie has unearthed. And I have to say, this is the episode where I finally realized what makes this performance by Kyle MacLachlan so great. It reminds me a hell of a lot of Peter Sellers' performance in the film Being There by Hal Ashby. That's yet another performance where somebody's so understated and so restrained, but somehow comes across as profound and wise and has enormous impact. And this is basically Kyle MacLachlan showing that we have been underrating and undervaluing him as an actor for decades at this point. Man, I love Kyle MacLachlan in a million shows and movies, but I truly, sincerely believe that this is his finest hour on the stage. But as he and Naomi Watts leave the building, we get my favorite moment to date in Season 3 of Twin Peaks. They're walking along, and that midget assassin or dwarf assassin we saw in the previous episode comes after them, and without missing a beat, Dougie reverts into Agent Dale Cooper that we know and love, purely on instinct, almost like an autopilot, grabs him, disarms him, holds him down, and as they're having this confrontation, and Naomi Watts is strangling this guy from behind, we get the, I don't even know what the proper term is, the evolved arm, whatever you want to call it, but it basically comes out of the ground and starts screaming instruction and starts touching the guy's hand who's holding the gun and basically explaining to Dougie how to disarm this guy. And it's just, it's so weird and so intense. Because on one hand, I was cracking up and screaming and fist bumping because Dale Cooper was in total badass mode again. On the other hand, it was just completely deranged that you have this disgusting creature that looks like something out of David Lynch's Eraserhead giving him instructions at the same time. For people who have given up on this show, or for people who are not waiting till the end, I mean, this is why we are watching Twin Peaks, to see David Lynch unleash the full capacity of his beautifully deranged imagination. So yeah, if we get more of that in the episodes to come, my love of the season will only increase exponentially. And an interesting little detail, in the aftermath, after basically dissecting what went down, there's this weird like fleshy membrane on the gun, and I don't know if that's from the assassin ordinarily or it's because the little arm thing was touching his hand, but I guess we'll learn more about that in future episodes. We also finally get some more stuff with Ashley Judd, who I've had a huge crush on ever since I saw Michael Mann's Heat. And she's still such a strikingly beautiful woman, but she plays a character named Beverly working with Ben Horne, and they're walking around his office trying to find the source of this mysterious humming sound. It's very ominous, Lynchian stuff, and wherever they go, all of a sudden it seems like the sound is coming from somewhere else. But then she reminds him that she received an old key to room 315 where Agent Dale Cooper was shot. He gives her a little bit of background information, and she goes home to where her invalid husband is basically very, very suspicious of her and why she's working late. There's definitely some sexual tension between her and Ben Horne, but who knows what has been happening on that front. I just feel like if you've got Ashley Judd in your show, use her, and it seems like she's got a cool character, and I'm interested to see more on that front. So we also get a kick-ass scene at the Roadhouse. Now, I should pause for a second. In some of my previous videos, I've called it the Bang Bang Bar. In some of my previous videos, I've called it the Roadhouse. And whichever way I say it, people who like to say it the other way have corrected me. I'm like completely, totally neutral on. I mean, if you look it up like on the wikis, it always says the Bang Bang Bar is the Roadhouse in Twin Peaks. David Lynch refers to it as the Roadhouse. When they answer the phone in the show, they say Roadhouse, but also like Showtime's selling t-shirts that say Bang Bang Bar and that sort of thing. And I've actually ordered one because they look fucking cool, but it hasn't arrived yet. Whatever people want to call it, I'm totally cool with it, but don't shriek at me about the proper terminology. I'm well aware of the fact that some people like to call it two different things. For the sake of simplicity, I will lean towards calling it the Roadhouse or just Roadhouse because it's nice and quick. But when I get my t-shirt Bang Bang Bar, I will wear it very, very proudly. So I have no dog in this fight. What I love about the scene in the Roadhouse is that they're playing Booker T and the MG song Green Onion in the background. It's just classic bar music. But nothing's really happening. We just see a guy sweeping, and we see Jean-Michel Renault just hanging out behind the bar. And I guess do we even know yet what his relation is to Jacques? I mean, Jacques obviously died, and we saw him also in Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, but same actor, big, giant, fat dude, but I guess are they brothers, cousins, whatever? I don't know if I've overlooked that little connection. In any case, I'm glad that actor's back on the show because the show wouldn't be the same without him. But this scene just goes and goes and goes, and it's one of those great scenes where the show just gets to exhale and take a breath, decompress, and just get to soak in the atmosphere. So for people who want more Twin Peaks in their Twin Peaks, this is a great Twin Peaks moment. And finally, he answers the phone, and somebody's complaining about the age of some prostitutes he sent to somebody, and he talks about how they're like, apparently they're like 15-year-old straight-A students or something like that. He obviously is up to his ears in very, very nasty business and that sort of thing, but I'm sure we'll see more of that character in the future. One of the things that David Lynch does so well is combining the seedy underbelly of small-town America with the kind of idyllic, beautiful surroundings. And whether it's Blue Velvet or Twin Peaks or whatever, that's when David Lynch really, really shines. The episode draws to a close with evil doppelganger Dale Cooper, a.k.a. Bob, whatever people want to call him. Once again, it's like the Roadhouse Bang Bang Bar thing. We all know who I'm talking about, so let's just move on. In any case, he and Ray Monroe get out of jail. So who the hell knows what's going to happen? But it seems like we're building towards some major crescendo or climax of some kind, because you now have people in Twin Peaks who are convinced the wrong Cooper came out. You've got Dougie showing real characteristics of Dale Cooper. And you also have evil Dale Cooper on the loose. And just something tells me all these things are going to come together for a massive confrontation. And it'll probably be my prediction around the halfway mark of the season, which is in 2 episodes. That's just my prediction. It's not based on anything other than my own gut. But something tells me this will be resolved before whatever happens in the latter part of the season. But the beautiful thing is, we still got 11 episodes to go. The summer of 2017 is the summer of David Lynch, and it's a very, very special, happy time for fans of great TV, fans of great cinema, fans of great David Lynch. I'm loving it. And even though I really, really loved the show initially, somehow in the last 2 episodes, my excitement and enthusiasm has been able to just get cranked up just one more notch. So thank you, David Lynch, for giving us a killer show to enjoy and debate for the entire summer. And I just can't wait to dive back in next Sunday. So as always, thank you so much for watching. If you want to talk more on social media, you can find me at Colbrax, and please consider subscribing to my channel. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. But talk to y'all later.